Game 10 of the European Championship 2019, and I was playing with the white pieces against strong Russian Grandmaster Kirill Alekseenko, rated 26-44. And the situation before the game was clear. We both needed to win to stay in contention for the 22 World Cup places. So the first 22 of the European Championship would qualify for the World Cup, and we both at this point had 6 points out of 9, and to stay in contention we both needed to win pretty much, and I want to make use of what would probably be my last white game. So I spent a good amount of time preparing, and we'll see how this all worked out. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6, and for a long time I was considering to play the Italian against him, but then I noticed there was a line in the Ruy Lopez I could play which is quite complex and where I could really prepare quite deeply, and as we'll see, it worked out beautifully. So let's keep going here. This is the absolute main line in the Ruy Lopez, and now bishop b3, d6, and here the move a4. This is the move I prepared, and black has several different ways to respond to this: bishop d7, bishop b7, rook b8, or the main move, and what I was hoping to see, the move b4. Now I go a5. The point is not to let black go a5 himself, and also it opens up the square for the white pieces. But the main point is to isolate this pawn on b4 and also gain some space. Maybe in some variations I could attack this pawn on a6 as well. Castle d3, and now bishop e6, and this leads to quite an interesting structure. So I take on e6, he takes back. Now black has doubled e-pawns, but on the other hand he has the half open f-file to work with and a good center control. And what makes this position quite complex is that white has the better structure and also the better king safety, since this f-pawn has moved. On the other hand, black often can put a rook on b5 and attack this pawn on a5, and sometimes white even sacrifice this pawn. I actually had this position in a game before. After knight bd2, rook b8, here I played knight b3, and it was also quite a complex game. This time I had prepared a specific variation which was quite trendy at this point in time, and is still trendy, I would say, the move c3, which was played several times against Chinese world-class Grandmaster Ding Liren. And this is a very concrete line and very complex. The positions are super difficult, I would say, for both sides, but I believe more difficult to play for black. And for anybody who's looking for a weapon against the Ruy Lopez, or the nice thing is this matters for both these lines with d6, as well as it's the possibility as an anti-Marshall variation. This is a very interesting line, I can tell you. Objectively, definitely okay for black, but the positions are quite rich. So let's see how this continues. He goes queen e8, and now we see the idea behind c3 is to play d4. Very concrete. Now there are a lot of pawn trades. Take, 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 take. And here he went rook b5, which is the normal typical move in this position. The rook is well placed on the 5th rank, attacking the pawn. I was still in my preparation and played bishop to a3. And he goes queen d7, which is a decent move, and queen c2. Still following my preparation, rook fb8 is also good. This was one of the main lines I checked before the game. And now we get to this endgame. He takes on a5, I take on c7, and here my analysis continues with bishop d8. This was pretty much the last move. I knew that this was correct, bishop d8, and then actually not much is going on after rook c2, d5. Black should be able to equalize here. So my opponent had found all the right moves up to this point, bishop f8. Now white certainly has an advantage. And here it took quite a long thing to see what is going on. And then I played h3, which I was quite happy about and seems to be the best move in the position. He played knight b3. The black position is uncomfortable, especially because of this knight And this is probably the reason why he trades it now, but this also has its own disadvantages. So let's see how this continues. Knight b3. Well, obviously there are also other problems in the black position. For example, these pawns, which are somewhat vulnerable. My rook, which is actively placed. So this also plays a role, of course. And here I went knight g5, attacking the pawn. So he has to go rook e8. There's no other sensible way to defend it. And now play becomes quite concrete. He just threatens to kick my knight out of h6, so I need to act quickly and go e5. And in this position, I thought for probably half an hour, which was a well-timed spend, because where to put the rook is quite important at this point. And you can think for yourself, maybe not half an hour, but if you want to, for a few minutes, how would you respond here? Where would you place the rook? All right, ready to continue? Let's do it. I played rook a7. First, my instinct was to go rook c6. Very logical move to hit both these pawns. The problem is though that black can go h6, and after knight e4, d takes e5, bishop takes f8, rook takes f8, d takes e5, black goes knight f4, and he really was able to alleviate some pressure, activate his pieces, and I think black should be able to hold this. So for that reason, and also because I didn't really see what to do after knight b4, which is another possibility, and would pretty much lead actually to the same position we'll see in the game. So mostly for the other reason, mostly for h6, I played rook a7 to not give him this option, because if here h6, there's an important difference. After d takes e5, bishop takes f8, rook takes f8, I don't have to take back, but I can play this cute little move, knight c5, hitting both e6 and b3, and he cannot go rook e6 because of knight d7. And also rook b2 wouldn't be advisable because of the knight takes e6, rook takes f2. Looks good at first, but only as long as you see rook takes g7 or rook takes a6, when black can just resign. So after knight c5, black needs to go rook b8. The point is now knight d7 can be answered with rook f7. But here I was thinking I'll just take back on e5, my knight is active, his pieces are not too active as compared to the version we just saw, and this is clearly better for white. So instead he played knight b4, and here I actually have a choice which I didn't realize during the game. I took on b4, which is fine. I could also take on d6 and then take on b4 now and play knight f3 back, take on a6 next. Honestly, it's very difficult for me to say which line is more promising for white. Both lines lead to a position with a clear pawn up. So difficult to say, maybe even this line, but who knows? You can judge for yourself. What happened in the game was this position. Bishop takes b4, rook takes, and now rook 7 takes a6. And here there's an important point, that after rook takes d4, rook a8 just suddenly wins because of the weak pawn on e6 again. Nothing to do for black here. Rook e7 actually allows a cute finish. I thought at least that allows a cute finish. Computer says something else now. Wait, what am I missing? Rook takes f8, doesn't this just win? Oh my goodness. I missed this during the game. I thought this was winning, but it's actually, well, here white should play knight g5, but rook takes e8 is very unpleasant intermediate check, and then it's black who's, well, definitely better. Okay, so yeah, this doesn't win, so never mind, but white has another good way to continue, which is rook 1 a6, and then he should be winning as the computer tells us. Okay, with that being out of the way, let's continue. h6, therefore first, but now I bring the knight back and defend my pawn on d4. So now we have this position. Only difference to the other position we saw, pawn on e5 instead of d4. Who knows what's better? I mean, maybe with the pawn on d4 I can at least use the square on e5. On the other hand, my pawn on d4 might be more vulnerable. So difficult to say. My opponent activates the bishop. Rook c6, bishop b6, rook a2. Defending against rook b2. And this position is clearly better for white because I have my pawn up, but all the pawns are on one side. So the question is, can I convert this? Or can black hold? Now king f7. And here I played knight e2. I figured time to bring my knight to better squares. But instead, maybe I should take it slow. Play rook d2. He should go rook e7. I didn't play this move because I thought he can go king e7 followed by rook d8. But this would just allow a winning move here, rook d6, which I saw, but I wasn't too sure about this line because now if I take on e6, this hasn't helped me. But in this position, I can give a check on c7 and play rook d7, and that's just game over. So after rook d2, black should play instead rook e7. And now I could play h4, I could slowly continue to improve my position before I take any active measures. And I think white has good chances here. But black also has good chance to draw. So not over yet. So knight e2, I would say, arguably my first inaccuracy in the game. Rook e7. And here I played rook ac2, which looked logical to me. Maybe just g3 would be d3, rook d7, king g2. Once again, black doesn't have much play and I can improve my position further. h4 and so on. Maybe black needs to go g5. On the other hand, that weakens some other squares. So the position remains promising for white. Rook ac2, rook d7, and now, well, again, maybe g3 here. But at this point, black is already getting close to equalizing. I feel like also g3, then black maybe g4, knight c4, rook d5. You see how black is getting more and more active, and I don't like that. So this is not that easy anymore. I played knight c4, rook d1 check, king h2, and bishop d4. So we see black has activated his piece, but I thought with my construction I'm doing pretty well as well. Knight d6 ideas, but really here I cannot do much. I played rook e2. I was happy about this move until my opponent responded. I thought, what can black do now? I have ideas such as rook e4, rook f4, activate my rook, but he played king e7, which was a smart move to stop any of this business, to stop any forks with knight d6. And with time running low for both of us actually, it's move 38. I said, well, you know what, I'll just return to c2. Let's see what you do. And he returned to f7. At this point, of course, he cannot hope for more than a draw. And now I played g3 because I had to do something. He goes rook e1. Now it's getting very concrete. He wants to win the pawn back, and then he's very close to a draw. And here it was move 40. And let me ask you, what would you do here? Move 40, about 2 minutes left maybe, so you can take 2 minutes here and make a decision. Gotta win this game somehow. Gotta still create chances. What do you do? Alright, so I was pondering pretty much between two moves. Rook d2 and f4. f4 defends the pawn, yes, but also weakens my king. And I didn't feel too good about that. After rook bb1, I think it will be very difficult for white to win. h4, for example, black goes even king g6. Ideas to come in here. I probably should play king h3. Black can force a trade of rooks, and this position to me looks like black will not have a difficult time to hold. So I played rook to d2, which gives away the pawn, but at least I'm activating my rook. And this is the critical moment in the game. Now this time, check for the black side. How would you respond to this check? Where would you move your king? Take as much time as you want. And fortunately for me, my opponent chose the wrong square. There's only one move to save the game, which is king f6. And this is an interesting moment. Move 41. My opponent had been on low time for a very long time. He just got some more time on the clock. Probably adrenaline went down. And this is when people relax. So you can remember as a rule of thumb, move 40, move 41, very critical moments. And a lot of mistakes happen there. So if the time control is over, it was well time trouble, you're low on the clock, take some time again if you have it after move 40, move 41, and relax, not too much, but collect yourself and then start working again. My opponent relaxed too soon here. He probably figured king g8 is not a simple draw, but in fact it's losing. King f6. One point is here that knight e3, which is a nice move, threads, is easily diffused with the exchange sacrifice. And here I cannot hope for anything with my pawns weak, and black easily holds the draw. So probably what I would have done is knight takes e5 and rook cc7, which looked attractive to me. I didn't see really a way for black to hold it together, but one more precise move and black holds the draw, which is rook f5. And here, that's it. I can go king g2, but then black can even go g5 and nothing happens. Or I could play f7 check and I win the pawn on g7, but a pair of rooks gets traded, and this is fairly simple position to hold. Well, I could still try, and I would have tried, but black should hold this position fairly easily. So king g8, why is this a mistake? Okay, I go knight takes e5, rook takes e5, I go rook cc7, and this is probably what he relied on, that he can go rook g5, but at this point he also realized it's lost now. The most resistance would have put up rook f5, but sooner or later white should win. First I maneuver my rooks to better squares. He can never take on f2 because of king g1, so he has to play king g8. I improve this and improve this rook, and now the point is if he goes king g8 I can force a trade of rooks, and this is winning immediately because of rook h7, winning another pawn. So he would need to go 8, but then I go king g2 and move my rooks on the 7th rank. It's just a matter of time until I should win here. So he goes rook g5, and why is this winning for white? If you want to, you can pause the video once more and take this as practice. How does white win? Alright, h4. Well, this is a move which quickly comes to mind. The question is, what happens after rook g6? After rook g6, my first intention when I went for this endgame, when I saw it after rook d2, I thought, okay, I can go h5 and I can go f4 and play this position, which would be better for white, but not clear if it's winning. Instead though, I realized soon enough beforehand that I can do this, check and rook d8, and the black king is stuck in a mating net. That's it, and my opponent resigned, because if black moves the rook, which he has to defend against the mate, I play h5, cover the square, and the only move to stop that is moving the pawn, the g-pawn, and then the mate comes from the other side. So my opponent resigned after rook dd8. So another big win. I'm saying another because game 9 was also a big win. If you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend to check it out. And in this game, a lot worked out very nicely. My preparation hit home perfectly, got him under pressure on the position and in the position and on the clock. And I got this advantage of one pawn, but still tough to convert it. And I could just pose as many problems as I could. In the end, my opponent had this chance to escape, but he missed it, and I could get this much needed win. So situation before the last round, one more win to qualify for the World Cup, but I'll play with the black pieces against a very strong Grandmaster, and we'll see this game in the next video. For now, let me know if you have any questions. And if you're not subscribed yet, you can do this now and you'll be notified for future videos like the last round game. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.